Hello, welcome to day 106 in my rebellious reality, friends, family. Titled this The Business of Being Born because I just finished a documentary with that same name by Ricki Lake and Abby Epstein. You can find it online. The reason I came across it is because they just made a new movie. This was done a while ago. I don't know the year The Business of Being Born was, but they just came out with another film called The Business of Birth Control that I have not watched yet. But I'm sure it's mind-blowing because the things that I've learned about birth control are wild and crazy. So, yeah. I'm just going to kind of like flow right now. Being put in this position of pregnancy, unexpected pregnancy, in a time within a year of me leaving my job as a modern medically trained nurse in the system for the reasons that I left, which was essentially abuse, and the massive realization that this of corruption within the system and how it's not really there to help people, and it essentially thrives on keeping people in disease by prescribing synthetic cocktails that are really not doing anything for the average person except continuing a vicious cycle of getting additional side effects and having to take that, and people living with no energy, no vitality. It's literally just like keeping people alive to take these pharmaceutical cocktails with no quality of life. And I had a front row seat to that. I had my own issues as a very young person within the medical system that were tragically treated, which I didn't find out about until way later in my life, And so this whole journey of me deciding with the job that I felt, I was a community nurse, I felt that was the most appropriate nursing position for me. I thrived in the field. I can find comfort. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, so I was used to being in all these different places and different scenarios and being able to find comfort. And I'm a very resourceful, creative individual. I'm an artist. So, when things would arise, when issues would arise in the field, I could use the tools that I had to remedy the situation to the best of my ability. It was just like a complete, it was the perfect nursing position for me. In addition to the fact that I love people, I love the elderly population. I mostly serve the elderly population in the community. I got to have these intimate relationships with people for extended periods of time, and that is just so me. So all around, this was a perfect nursing position for me, except that I was abused by my employer, which is a healthcare system where I live. It was a denomination, a very small part of a healthcare system where I live that is literally a monopoly. And that is the only healthcare system that I have ever worked for. I worked in the hospital as my first nursing job for this healthcare system, and then I transferred within it to this community nursing position. And at one point, I had gone per diem. I couldn't even finish a year of full-time community nursing because it was so demanding and so just unbelievable. We were working 60 to 80-hour weeks, getting paid for 40 hours with home computers and home phones and no reprieve. And I was getting sick mentally, physically. My hair was falling out. I had bronchitis for the first time in my life, which was extremely severe because I could never rest, and I was afraid to call out because we were so short-staffed. It's just this fucking ridiculousness, okay? And it's going on. It goes on, and it's getting worse and worse and worse in the healthcare system that is existing today. So I left for all these reasons. I had this massive awakening, like, I am not helping these people. I am selling my energy, my pure energy, to a system that is corrupt. I'm facilitating the corruption by being a nurse, and I am getting abused myself and taken advantage of. And it just got to the point where they were trying to tell me I needed to do things that were not, I was a per diem employee. They were telling me I needed to work every third weekend. There was no legitimate documentation written up about this. It was all just them telling me it was what I had to do. And when I did work those weekends, they had the ability to abuse me by putting on 3 to 4 hour cases and giving me pay for like 45 minutes of time. And there was nothing I could do about that. Like, that was just the rule. And so I had to write them back and forth. They were officially FedExing me letters asking for my intention for the position, blah, blah, blah. And I was writing them probably the most phenomenally written letters of my entire life. Well, at least one. I call it the letter of truth. And basically telling them, like, I'd be happy to continue working for you if you pay me for the hours that I'm working. And they refused. So I left. That was like, it was like my final straw. Like, you know, I made it work for as long as I could, but simultaneously, as I was having this awakening, they kept poking me like, no, we want more, we want more, we want more from you. We're going to take advantage of you. And I finally was like, I have to take this as a sign that, like, this is my time to release myself from the system and this, you know, whatever. So that was an unexpected synopsis. But that is what happened in my life, and it came to a head in November 2020. So then and I have, the only time that I go to my doctor is to get labs. I do not a doctor goer anymore. I haven't been a medical doctor goer. I have received extremely poor treatment in the medical system that has not been effective for me. In 2020, I was in the worst pain of my life, and I was doing telehealth consults with a practitioner who's offering me for the second or third time a spinal injection as the only means of you know, remedying my pain. And I'm on the phone with my chiropractor, you know, during that time as well. And what ended up happening is I used the knowledge that I gained from myofascial release, the seminars that I took, and just my basic knowledge of physical anatomy from my nursing prerequisites and experience. And I adjusted myself by looking up, you know, I evaluated my pelvic position. I looked up exercises online, and I'm the one who figured out how to pop my pelvis back into place to bring my pain from a level of 15 out of 10 to like a 7 or a 6, you know? And then like I started to kind of like learn how to treat myself. My chiropractor helped me during that time, but I haven't had to see my chiropractor for over a year at this point. And I have really just relied on my primary doctor to give me referrals to like maternity. You know, I was supposed to have a pap smear right before I got pregnant because I hadn't had one for 2 years. And that was the original like referral. And then I ended up finding out I was pregnant unexpectedly. And now I've been in the system. I've been in the system for almost 9 months, going to these stuffy offices where I have to mask up or else the machine can't take my temperature. If I'm breathing regular air without a mask, the machine can't take my temperature. So I have to cut off my fucking air supply. I get to sit and listen to the local news, spewing fear about the pandemic, spewing fear about all the bullshit that I don't believe in and that I see through personally. And then I get to go in this freaking tiny office with people who are in and out just trying to fucking manage their time because they're getting paid for the same system that I worked for 7 years. And Holy shit, what a trip this has been. The first time I went in to get my pregnancy confirmed, I was so emotional, like how, like this can't be happening, because I don't know, I don't have, experience in pregnancy. Like I learned about it in school, but other than that, like I didn't have any knowledge. Like I felt like I had to rely on the system in a certain way. And also, we are trapped by, and like this is the thing that really got ignited when I was watching this documentary tonight, is that my insurance, my health benefits, my veterans health benefits pay for this. They don't pay for holistic things. No medical insurance pays for holistic things, except maybe chiropractor, whatever, and acupuncture, which are new in the last probably 10 years or so. Certain insurance companies have started to pay for those kinds of holistic alternative medical services. Other than that, insurance companies don't pay for breath work. Insurance companies don't pay for myofascial release. Insurance companies don't pay for the natural things that actually facilitate healing at a root level. And so I had to rely on the system because I don't have the money to pay an outside practitioner who actually believes in the power of the body and in all of the things that I believe in. So it's like they have us by the ovaries or the balls, And so I'm watching this documentary and it's like the same thing. And they're talking about how the US has like really terrible birth rates, like really terrible, I forget the specific term, how it's been medically proven that natural vaginal births and home births, which have a midwife participating in it, not just like any random couple being like, we're going to birth our baby at home by ourselves, like having a home birth, having a medical professional who's trained, like a midwife, in this kind of thing, in escalation, in all of the things that could possibly go wrong. But home births and natural vaginal births, which are extremely rare in the modern medical system, are the most low risk, beneficial ways to birth a baby. They literally have professionals come on and say how there's not many things that are like the lesser cost is actually the more beneficial, but birth is one of them. When you get a midwife who is trained, it costs a lot. Like if you were to do a home birth with a midwife, it would cost something like $4,000 for an insurance company if they were decided to cover it. But in the hospital, it costs like over $10,000. So it's like, why are you not trying to pay less for an actually proven better and more effective and safer and all the things way of birthing? It's like they're adding more to the process, putting more women and babies in the path of distress and trauma for a larger amount of money. Why? And this is where, I'm watching this and I'm understanding, listen, there are times for medical intervention. There is a place for this system, okay? An emergent place. That is what I personally believe. I don't think it would be smart to just wipe out the medical system completely. But what I think is, it's a fucking illusion what we have come to believe is normal. It is a illusion, a delusion, whatever you want to call it, that has been normalized in our current civilization to make us believe that this has a place where it truly doesn't have a place, and that's general health and like something like birth. I believe in my body. I know my body's capable. The only reason I would ever want to go to a hospital, which I'm slated to go to and I'm not happy about it, is A, because my fucking insurance covers it, and B, in case of any kind of emergency, God forbid. But I've literally told my midwife, and the number one thing on my birth plan is all in caps: I desire as little intervention and interruption as possible, because at the end of the day, I want to be left the fuck alone to let my body do what it does. I have worked with my body. I watch these women on this documentary birth babies. I have done somatic work that looks extremely similar to that. The amount of emotional pain that has processed through this vessel, the amount of physical pain that has processed through this vessel, I have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to be able to birth this child with, most, as far as I'm concerned, ease and not a lot of coaching or any kind of anything. Like, I got this, I'd love to just be in a room and be able to pop my head out and be like, can we get some help? I mean, Bri can do that, but can we get some help? Instead of having anybody come in and be like, la, 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 can we do this? Can we do that? All the things. So I just kind of rambled at the end there, but it's really, I'm in such a massive place of void and surrender in my life. I'm in this place of I could literally start labor at any moment. I have no idea what's going on. I have in my life, I have, I'm preparing for the baby in almost every moment and just trying to keep my nervous system calm and just, I don't know, learn about things while I can, learning about these interventions that they like to give newborns in the hospital. You can't search on Google and get anything aside from the mainstream narrative. And it is so freaking sad. And it honestly is this, I just did this story on my over the weekend where I got emotional because I'm listen, the world is getting better. We have to trust that the world is getting better. We have to trust there's good people out there. And I do, and I want to. But then I get faced with the realities of the systems in charge of a lot of things, like the medical system. And it's I get hit with this and I get put directly in a position to be in the system without a choice to not be in the system because of the financial, excess that you need in order to make your own decisions and have your own power and make sure that you're still safe, and it's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. And I have to trust that I'm back here for a reason. And I don't know why. And I have to and I know without a shadow of a doubt that I have to just trust. I have to surrender. I have to maintain my nervous system, which has been what I've been fucking practicing for the past 2+ years at this point. And I need to just breathe. I need to breathe my way through this. I need to trust. So, that is the topic for today. I am sweating profusely right now. This stuff is not easy for me to talk about. But I know it needs to be talked about, and who better to talk about it than the rebellious nurse, right? So there's going to be a lot more of these kinds of topics to come, because this is just still unfolding for me. And it's literally I have to be an investigator. I have to be this detective that's okay, what is really real, because what they do is they use manipulation and fear and, well, that you're a bad mother because this is the safest thing, and this and that. And it's like I said, you can't Google and find something that contests the mainstream narrative. A, because of censorship. B, because also they're not going to fund, like I was at the midwife appointment yesterday and I'm talking to her about, one of these interventions that they do after birth for a brand new soul in the world. And she's telling me, well, the research backs it. And I'm like, yeah, because they're not going to do research to counteract their narrative. They're not, and if they do it and it comes out to counteract their narrative, they're not going to release it. That's what they did for the COVID vaccination. You know what I mean? It's just so fucked up. It's all just so fucked up. And at the same time, like, yes, I know there's good in the world and all of the things, but like the polarity is freaking wild in the position that I'm sitting in right now. I'm very excited to, I don't even want to say like get through this. I'm excited to continue to navigate this extremely treacherous, delusional path of what's been normalized versus what my body and soul know to be true. I feel like, I don't know. I don't know the purpose of any of this yet, but this is what's happening, and I accept it. And thank you for listening, and I could probably go on for more, so I'm going to stop right now, and I'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Mwah.